Hello, I am Minecraft Phenom 08 and welcome to the 25th episode of my second 1 billion iron ingot challenge. In today's episode, I'm going to upgrade several things around my base. First off, I am going to upgrade my energy system throughout my entire base, and then I am going to upgrade my NuclearCraft Fission Reactor. And then finally, I am going to upgrade my Void Ore Miner to a tier 6 variant. So let's get started. First off, I want to upgrade my energy system, and what I am going to do is I'm going to replace all of the capacitors down here with better capacitors. Now, I actually already have those made because they do take quite a long time to actually craft. But since I have my applied energetic system that can autocraft things, it wasn't too bad. I just kind of punched it in, and then I let it go to work. So how I actually made the capacitors is, first off, we need a recipe, I guess. So this is the recipe I used. 4 of these octadic capacitors, and then electrical steel around a vibrant crystal. Vibrant crystals made like that. Electrical steel I made in my alloy smelters with this recipe right here. And then the actual the capacitors themselves are made pretty simply. Vibrant alloy, double layer capacitors, glowstone, and then for the double layer capacitors, you just have a single capacitor, coal, pulverized coal, and energetic alloy. So I already have all of these made up. So let's go ahead and grab those. And what I need to do now is I need to grab my crescent hammer, and I need to go to town on my old capacitor. So basically, I'm just going to be replacing my old capacitor with this new capacitor. This new capacitor will have a much higher capacity. It will be 25 times the capacity of this, as well as allowing me to have 25 times more input and output. So obviously in the future, I'm going to need a lot more IO than just 112,000 RF per tick. If you've ever watched me before, you know that I can get into the hundreds of thousands really easily. So I'm going to do this all off camera. This is going to take a while to get rid of all of this capacitor and then replace it. So once I have this done, I will be right back. And I am now done with my upgrade. So let's go down here and let's check it out, what I have done. Like I said, I just replaced the basic capacitor with this vibrant capacitor bank, and now I have a capacity of, 2.8 billion RF. So that's a nice little capacity right there, and as we can see, I'm getting a decent amount of additional RF right now, which is actually more than I expected. Let me double check something, because this should only be making 22,000 RF per tick, which it looks correct. And then down here, this should be using 17,000 RF per tick. I'm not really sure why this is not drawing more. But one thing I do want to do right now is I want to replace a bunch of flux ducts. Including this flux duct right here, I want to replace it with this Cryo-Stabilized flux duct, which I have made a bunch of. And that's because this has a limitless transfer rate. Currently, the resonant flux duct that I have around my base it has a capacity of 25,000 RF per tick, I believe. Let me double check that real fast. So flux duct right here, 25,000 RF per tick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace a bunch of this flux duct with this better version, and that's going to take a little while because I have to rip all this up, and then I just need to replace it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. Once I have that done, I will be right back. Now I have all of my resonant flux duct replaced with Cryo-Stabilized flux duct, at least for the important stuff. I did redo a little bit of my energy lines for right here. Now what this is this comes from the reactor and it goes to the capacitor, which is underneath the road out there. And then this line right here is from the capacitor and it runs down to my Void Ore Miner. Now I rerouted this because this was actually all connected, and that's because when the capacitor is drawing large amounts of power, the Void Ore Miner in the basement is not actually able to draw as much as it would like. So actually right now I'm going to go down to the Void Ore Miner and I'm going to shut it off because while I am upgrading my reactor, it will not be producing power, and so I do not want my Void Ore Miner to be drawing power. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just get rid of the capacitor altogether because I will be updating that, because I will need to update that, as well as I'm going to rip out the tier 5 Void Ore Miner and put in a tier 6 version later on in this episode. But for right now, I think I'm going to work on the interior of this fission reactor. Currently, it's using TBU fuel. It will continue to use TBU fuel, but I can make it better. Currently, the interior is not even full of blocks. If we take a look inside, there is a lot of empty space. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to rip this entire thing out, because I should be able to, at this point, completely fill this reactor up and make use of all of its space. So like I said, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to rip this out, and once I have that done, I will be right back. Okay, I am back and I have my reactor cleared out. Now the thing is, right now I do have access to pretty much all of the coolers. I have them all input into my system so I can make them automatically. I also have a bunch of tough alloy, because if we look at the cooler recipe that requires tough alloy and steel, I also have a bunch of the empty coolers already made, so it should be pretty quick to make any of the coolers that I so require. The only one I don't really have access to right now is the helium cooler, and I do have access to a little bit of liquid helium. I did that off camera, but I don't really have any significant amount. So we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to build a reactor without it. So if we look at the fuels from NuclearCraft, we can see that there are lots of different fuels here, and the fuel I'm still going to be using is TBU fuel. It only produces 18 heat per tick, versus some of the other fuels produce a lot more, like this HEC 243 oxide fuel produces 840 heat per tick. So this reactor design is actually, I need to be able to maximize the amount of power I can get while also not producing too much heat. But the heat thing shouldn't be an issue, like I said, because this fuel doesn't produce much heat. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bunch of reactor cells. And let's go ahead and tell my system to make something like 400 more. Like I said, I have a bunch of tough alloy ready to go, so that shouldn't be an issue. And let's come up with a preliminary design here. So if we take a look at the coolers that I have access to, cryotherm cooler is going to be something I'm probably going to use quite a bit of. Actually, you know what? Let's kind of take that as going to be our primary cooler here. So if I make fuel rods in like straight lines, which will be really simple, a simple design to replicate across. If I do something like this and then put cryotherm between them, I think it'll be fine, because the cryotherm coolers provide a lot of cooling, and this fuel does not provide very much heat. So even though I'm stacking these fuel rods closely together and will be producing a lot of power and heat, and pretty efficiently so, I should be able to still keep it cool, like I said, because the fuel itself does not produce very much heat. So let's start out with this as being our preliminary design, and let's grab some coolers now that we kind of know how this is going to go. First off, I need a bunch of lapis coolers. Let's go ahead and say 200 of them. And then I'm going to need a lot of cryotherm coolers. I'm going to go ahead and punch in 1,000, and apparently I cannot make that many because I don't have enough bliss powder. Okay, so I'm gonna derail here for a little bit. I am actually going to upgrade my bliss powder creation. That way I can make more cryotherm coolers. I might not actually be able to do it this episode, but whatever. So if I take a look here, I have automated the upgrade kits, and if I do resonant conversion kits, and then I also want to grab 8 of these augments, I should be able to speed up my creation of bliss powder here, or snowballs into bliss powder. Yeah, I should be able to upgrade all of it. So let's grab the augments. Let's see if we can't grab the conversion kit. It's not quite done yet. What are we waiting on? Enderium. So yeah, that takes a little while to craft up. Got one of them. So the important one, I think, is actually the fluid transposer here. This seems to be taking a rather long time, so let's upgrade this first. Let's throw in some augments to make this little guy faster. And then now this guy should be able to run at 300 RF per tick. Yeah, he's going to be able to make bliss powder quite a bit faster. So let's get the other conversion kit here, slap it on here. This one's not as important. Snowballs are made really quickly regardless, but why not upgrade them both? Okay, so, whoops, wrong doors. I should be able to grab something like 500 cryotherm coolers, which actually is not going to be as many as I really hoped, but it will definitely be enough to get started. So let's, actually I don't know if I can do 500. Yeah, I'm just short there. So let's do 400 for right now, and then let's grab the lapis I have. And I'm wondering if there's anything else I can't go ahead and make quickly. Let's take a look. So my lapis will be... Actually, I can just go ahead and place down the lapis. The lapis will be anywhere where I have reactor cell next to a fission reactor casing. So basically on the ends of the fuel rods here and on the sides. The cryotherm coolers will go in between the fuel rods. So I'm going to have actually very little dead space in this reactor design, which is pretty fantastic as long as I can keep the heat under control. And I kind of think I can, but I'm not completely sure about that. Also, actually, I can have no dead space in this reactor except for the corners. Along the corners, I'll have some dead space if I use, I think, 10 coolers. Must be between 2 active lapis coolers along the same axis. So, like, I can put 10 coolers here, 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 so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and make some of those as well. And I can go ahead and start placing some of these guys. So like I said, 10 coolers go here. And then my cryotherm coolers will go in the middle here. And what's going to make this reactor super easy to build is a builder's wand. And I've actually used diamond builder's wands in the past in this series, but between the last time I've used one and between now, I have created a better builder's wand, and that is because I have access to nether stars. And the nether star allows me to make an unbreakable builder's wand, which is obviously a lot better than one that breaks after so many uses. So let me go and grab that. If I just type in wand here, it is an unbreakable wand from Better Builder's Wands. This will be really nice for building my reactor. But first I need to actually grab a bunch of the coolers. So actually what I'm going to do right now is let's go ahead and see what the heat is like right now. So right now, yeah, we're far, far negative, but as we build those rods across the room, it will produce more and more heat because reactor cells beside each other create additional heat and power. So yeah, let's change this thing's mode. Yes, that's what we want. Actually, that's not quite what we want. We want that mode right here. And okay, so there, and then I need to do the top. Okay, so let's... Do I have enough cryotherm coolers on me? I think I do to do the rest of this, or to do the second line here. And then I want to shut this reactor up and take a look at the heat again. Okay, so we're still negative, but the number actually dropped, which is a little bit scary, but there are things I can do if I get it to where it is too hot. So what I'm going to do right now, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera, is I'm going to start building this thing across the room, just like I did. One thing I am going to do is I'm probably going to stop at about the halfway point, unless I have to stop earlier due to like resources. And I'm going to see exactly where I'm at, like each step or so. Did I run out? I did run out of reactor cells. So I have some of those already made up, and I don't need the cyanite. I just need the reactor cells. So actually, you know what? This reactor is not too big. Let's go ahead and keep doing this on camera as long as I can to see exactly where I can get this reactor to. Now, as we see, when I had the first layer along the back, it was at something like minus 7,000 heat. Now, then after the second layer, it was at minus 6,000 something, and now it's at minus 5,000 something. So it's going to be really, really tight as to if I have proper cooling or not. So let's grab some more 10 coolers. While I'm at it, grab more cryotherm coolers. And I just did that, didn't I? Whoops. That could have been a lot worse, to be honest. That's one of the follies of using builder's wands, is sometimes you place blocks unintentionally. Okay, so I should have at least two. Oh, okay, so I accidentally grabbed more fission reactor cooler. or fission reactor casings. That's fine. It's not fine if I misclick again, though. Okay, so we're at minus 4,000 here. But if I turn this on right now, look at the power. The power is a lot more than I was producing before. The efficiency of this design is actually going to be maybe a little bit worse than the design before. But that's okay, to be honest. I don't need it to be perfectly efficient or anything. So you know what? Let's just do 2 layers right now. I'm estimating that I'll be minus about 1,500 after these 2 layers. It'll be really... yeah. I'm probably going to be positive if I continue this design all the way across the reactor. But like I said, there are a few things I can probably do at the end of the reactor to keep it cool. So yeah, we're at minus 1680 right now. Another 2 layers and we'd probably be positive. So let me think here. What could I do? I might shorten one of the rods on the end. Let's go ahead and build 2 more. If I can. If I have enough stuff, that is. I'm worried that I'm just about out of my cryothium coolers. I'm actually a little bit better off than I thought. So obviously, like I said, this wand is really, really nice to have. Okay, so I'm almost sure I'm going to be positive right here. Yes, I am now. What's the efficiency like? Okay, so the efficiency is actually really, really close to what I had before. It was 450 something if I remember right. So I'm at 452 now. But like I said, we're a little toasty now. One thing I might try, and let me do some quick math in my head here. So lapis coolers do 120, and I'm going to be positive what? If I do 2 more, I'll probably be positive 3,000-ish. And my fuel rods are 9 high. I have 5 of them. So that's 45 times 120. Let me pull up my calculator real fast. Okay, so 45 times, what, 120? Oh, okay. Okay, so that should work. That should work fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend them 2 more times here. And I shouldn't have done that, actually. Oh, I'm out of lapis. That shouldn't be a problem, though. Let's go ahead and do this up here. Okay, so that... Okay, so I need more lapis here. We're really, really close. Okay, so there we go. And then let's see, where am I at with the cryothium? I think I'm good on cryothium, actually, which is good news. There we go. Oh, whoops, walked backwards. Okay, so when I close this up, if we're anything less than 5,000, we should be good. So that's really, really nice. I'm going to burn through fuel a lot faster than I have before. I'm also making a lot more power. Let's look at the efficiency because this should be the final efficiency. From here on out, what I'm going to be doing is adding some lapis coolers. And if I really need to, I can also add tin coolers, but I don't think I will. So let's go ahead and grab more lapis coolers if I have them available. Okay, so I should have enough lapis coolers at this point. All I'm going to do is stick lapis on the end here, and this should provide enough cooling, at least by my rudimentary math, to allow me to run this reactor as it is once I get them in. I should be negative something like 2,000, give or take. So actually, I really like this reactor design. If this turns out with the numbers, I think... Yes, perfect. My math was perfect. So I had positive 3,000 heat before. My math said I would take away 5,400 heat. Now I'm at negative 2,400, which is perfect math. So I can go ahead and turn this thing on And bada boom, we have power. Now obviously I'm going to run through fuel a lot faster as I'm using a lot more fuel cells than before. But the thing is, I'm going to be producing a lot more stuff than before, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to upgrade my void ore miner in the basement. So let's go ahead and... Actually, I already have all the stuff crafted up, so let's throw all this away. Let's get rid of that because I don't need it. I have all of this stuff ready, and it is actually in a modular storage unit right here. So here's what I need. If we grab the void ore miner and the assembler here and slap it down, let's go ahead and left click this. We need 20 null, or we need 20 modifiers. It can be null modifiers or speed modifiers. 92 structure frame tier 6, 56 structural panels, 6 laser cores, and 1 laser lens. I have all of that already. So let's grab this and get going. So boom. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Right now I'm producing 123,000 RF per tick. I want to leave something like, let's say 13,000, just to simplify things, 13,000 RF per tick for my base to run. So basically for the ME system to run, for all of the automatic processing, we're going to leave 13,000 RF per tick. So what I'm going to use for the void ore miner is 110,000 RF per tick, which is a good chunk of change, as the void ore miner tier 5 that I was running was running, I guess, on a meager 19,738 RF per tick. So the first thing I need to do is let's pick up this ender chest here, and then I need to get rid of this void ore miner, and we can do that by holding right click or shift right click. Actually, I probably shouldn't have got rid of that just yet, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do with this wand is I'm actually going to break all of those blocks above the ground level, and then with my flux bore, I'm going to get rid of the rest of it, because I actually think I need to enlarge the floor area. Okay, so what I'm going to do is flux bore, say right here. We'll start out off on the corners, because like I said, I think I might need to make this a little bit bigger area, and that's what this flux bore is for. Yes, that's perfect. Okay, so this should be enough area once I have all this dug out, I guess. Okay, so let me pick up all this junk laying around, because I want to jettison it to my ME system. Okay, so I still need this. I still need this. I still need this. Okay, so the rest of it I think I can go ahead and get rid of. If I need it back, I can always just get it back, because I have access to my ME system. Okay, so there we go. That should be everything. Let's go ahead and... Actually, the first thing I need to do is I need to place this down. And I believe this will need to go right here. If it needs to be moved, I can always do that. That won't be an issue. In addition, I want to move that flux duct, because I want to build a capacitor around this thing. And let's actually grab the capacitor blocks, vibrant capacitor blocks, obviously. And I should need 7 of them. And I don't know why that... Okay, so that's cool. For whatever reason, they're not stacking anymore. Okay, so there we go. We have the 7 I need. Let's go ahead and build this bad boy. Oh, looks like I need 8. Looks like I can't count. So 1 more vibrant capacitor block, and I need to make sure it's the vibrant variety. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is let's go ahead and build the rest of this thing. I don't have the blocks with me, do I? Whoops. That's kind of important. So let's start out with the null modifiers if I can. I think if I put them first in my inventory, it will use the null modifiers before it does the speed ones. And that's just because this thing with full speed modifiers, it should be able to suck up more power than I can possibly give it. And obviously I don't want to do that. so I'm not going to if I can help it. Okay, so I see the laser down there. It means it's active. Perfect. So as we see right here, it can use 800 RF per tick right now. Obviously, with a lot of speed modifiers, that can be upgraded. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to say this will be, you know what, I'm going to go back down to 7. And that's because I will want my flux duct to carry through, because I will have more void ore miners down here at some point, just not right now. So like I said, let's do something like this. Let's grab the crescent hammer. We'll do input, input, and then the flux duct can just carry through like that. Over here, let's do an energy gauge. Actually, you know what? Let's just do IO. And what I'm going to tell this thing for right now is I'm going to limit the output to 110,000 RF per tick. So perfect, perfect. And then let's go ahead and configure this thing to be output and output to the void ore miner. Okay, so what did... Oh, I know why it's not sucking up any power. It's because it can't. It's because it has no chest beside it. And then on the side here, let's do a power meter. That way I can quickly look at how much power it has. And then lastly, I need to put down a chest, and we'll do the ender chest again. Okay, there we go. We have stuff, and we have this taking up power. Now, obviously, it's only doing 800 RF per tick. Actually, you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace all of these with speed modifiers, I think. And that's because my capacitor itself can moderate how much power this thing can eat. So I shouldn't have to worry about that. Okay, actually, let's grab this. Oh, I can't do that. Or can I? No, I can't. Darn. So let's just go through, get rid of all this. I think I'm about to the wrapping up point for this episode. One thing I will probably have to do in the near future is upgrade my ore processing, and that's because I'm going to be making a lot more stuff now that I have this fully or almost fully ramped up tier 6 void ore miner versus a not even nearly fully ramped up tier 5 variant that I had before. So as we can see, this thing is eating all of the power it possibly can. It can actually run at 154,000 RF per tick, but like I said, I'm only giving it 110,000 RF per tick because I need some RF for the rest of my stuff. Otherwise, my ME system would shut off because it would starve for power, and then we'd all have a bad time. Anyways, so like I said, I think this is a good wrapping up point. In today's episode, I set up this tier 6 void ore miner, which is fantastic. It will get me a lot of stuff. I also upgraded my energy system because it was completely necessary. I replaced my resonant flux duct with the Cryo-Stabilized flux duct in certain areas, and I also replaced my capacitor outside, or not outside, but under my streets, with a much better variant, a 25 times better variant, in fact. And then lastly, or not lastly in terms of chronological order, but anyways, lastly in terms of the wrap up, I increased the productivity of my fission reactor by revamping the inside. It was doing about 22,000 RF per tick. Now it's doing 123,000 RF per tick. So obviously that's a humongous upgrade. Anyways, if you liked today's episode, definitely give it a like. If you enjoy watching automation in modded Minecraft, definitely consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Anyways, signing off, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and I will see you next time.